It's the West London derby on Monday night. It's the preview between Fulham and Brentford. This is a video for not only Patreon members, but for YouTube as well. So welcome along. If you're a Brentford fan, welcome. If you're a Fulham fan, welcome as well. Here we go. Well, Fulham v Brentford is, it's like a fixture that's not been very there's not been much attention on it, even within the two fan bases throughout the last couple of years. And the reason for that is, especially last season, we played each other at like really strange times last season. Second game of the season, and then second to last game of the season, or third to last game of the season. Forgettable goalless draw at the G-Tech, a 3-0 defeat at Craven Cottage. So there hasn't been a time where we've played Brentford in the middle of the season. It's been even the season before that was the third game of the season, and we won 3-2, and then it was a Monday night in March, was it, that we played Brentford, lost 3-2 at the G-Tech. It just hasn't really been I remember the game at the G-Tech, the 3-2 defeat when we lost. That's well, we're already safe. We're already doing really well. It didn't have that nitty-gritty sort of derby feel to it. Whereas I think now, this fixture on Monday, I think there's a lot to it. There's a lot more narrative. There's a lot more sort of what I would perceive as more of a derby feel to the game. And actually, both teams are going very, very well in the table. If we were sitting in 17th and 18th, this would have so much on it in terms of consequences and, what's the word when you have bragging rights? There we go. That's it. Far too long to get to. So yeah, I mean, Fulham are sitting pretty well in the table in 10th, Brentford in 9th. We've basically had very similar seasons. Brentford have scored a lot of goals. They've conceded a lot of goals. 18 scored, 18 conceded. Fulham 12 goals scored, 12 conceded. Both sitting on a 0 goal difference. Brentford have lost 4 games. Fulham have lost just the 3. And we've drawn 3 and we've won 3. Brentford have won a game more than us. Brentford story of the season has basically been, well, we're quite good at home, and we played some pretty winnable team, or winnable. There's been some winnable games at home, of which we've won, and then we've gone to not even Arsenal. What's going on today? We've gone to Liverpool, we've gone to Man City, we've gone to Man United, and we've gone to Spurs, and we've lost all 4, which is pretty I wouldn't say acceptable, but it's pretty not predictable, I suppose. Going 1 up at Man United and losing 2-1, I can understand the frustration of that. I think that can be very frustrating. I don't think United are a good team. Okay, they scored 5 last night. They've got rid of Ten Hag. They might improve. I just still don't think they're a good team at all. Didn't think they were very good. Thought they were better than we played them in recent years when we played them on the opening night, but we still lost. You're right there, staring into the house. Bizarre behaviour. Bizarre behaviour for people who just, when they walk past the house and just stare into it. And this guy was stopping and staring. I mean, what's there to look at? Fulham, the badge. Obviously, a massive club, so that might make sense. Anyway, yeah. So they've lost, and in 3 of those 4 defeats, they have scored. They have taken the lead. They've scored in the first couple of minutes of the game at Spurs and at Man City, and ended up losing all 4 away games as well. The goal against Manchester United, Pinnock's header, De Ligt went off with an injury, and they were annoyed they conceded. There's a head injury, you've got to go off the pitch anyway. I don't know why I'm sticking up for Brentford so much, but I'm not a fan of Man United at all, really. But also, I'm not a fan of Brentford. I'm a fan of Fulham, and this is a rivalry. Let's put it into context. We're not meant to like Brentford. Brentford are not meant to like us. I've seen some stuff on Twitter over the last few days from Brentford fans. They're all gearing up for the game. Hopefully not literally, but whatever. They're getting ready for the game, should I say? Whereas Fulham fans are up for this as well. I think this is going to be a good game. I think it's great that I know we played on Monday Night Football a couple of years ago. I'm glad that this game is isolated on the Monday night on Sky at Craven Cottage. I think it's going to be a really good occasion. How do I see the game going? I think Fulham will take the game to Brentford here. I think we've got a lot of attacking threats. This is how I think we'll line up. 1 change, Anderson in, 4, Diop, So it'll be Leno, Tete, Anderson, Bassey, Robinson, Berger, Smith Rowe, Pereira, and then Traore, Iwobi, and Jimenez. But I do think that Nelson could start as well. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't also be surprised if we put a little bit more protection in Harrison Reed or Tom Cairney next to Sanderberg, probably Harrison Reed, preferably. And the reason I say that is you look at the game that we played against Aston Villa, you look at the way the game against Everton, and there were two very different approaches from the opposition. Aston Villa, all at us, pressing us high, winning the ball up high up the pitch, causing us problems. Morgan Rogers, Jacob Ramsey, Leon Bailey, Ollie Watkins, just chaos, absolute chaos. And Everton were very much more, which is ironic because they were at home, very, very standoffish, let us have the ball. And that approach helped us create, have a lot of the ball, control the game, and we should have won. We should have won the game, and we didn't. Brentford will come to the Cottage, high press, perhaps, and if they put Berger under pressure the way in which Villa did, and they identify that area as a way to exploit Fulham, that's when I feel, again, quite nervous. Just because Berger had a good game against Everton doesn't mean that he'll have a good game against Brentford. It basically depends on how the opposition get around him and try and stop him from turning and playing out. And it makes me nervous. It makes me nervous. Do I think that Marco will look at that and think and maybe like try and learn from the lesson of the Villa game and add a bit of protection? I actually genuinely don't think, and this is not a criticism of him, I just don't think he would do that, because I think that then we lose an attacking player, we lose a player in Pereira or Smith Rowe who in transition, and when we come forward, there's much more of a threat there. And I don't think that, you know, if you're hosting Brentford, I was about to say no disrespect, but disrespect because they're our rivals. To play a second holding midfielder just to nullify some threats that they might, you know, sort of press us high and win the ball high up the pitch like Villa did at home is not a great look. And I don't think Marco's all about that. He likes to be on the front foot. He likes to attack. He likes to create chances. Not him personally, but the team. And I think that's where Fulham, you know, if we beat that press or if Brentford stand off and do let us have the ball, then we can create chances like we did against Everton. It's going to be a very, very interesting game. So I think I'm overthinking it. You know, there's always a suggestion that you could just tinker with the midfield and play a second holding midfielder or a second sitter who can sort of help Berger play a little bit further up a little bit, and then Harrison Reed can take on that role. I just don't think that's going to happen. Marco is very much stuck with a plan this season. You know, if it wasn't Berger, it'd be Lukic, and we wouldn't change it if Lukic was fit, would we? So I think he'll trust Berger in that position. And then, yeah, I think Reece Nelson, he's definitely due a start. I asked Marco the other day, and he was like, yeah, no, Nelson's close to starting. So we actually genuinely could see that on Monday. It wouldn't surprise me. And then I said this earlier, like, if you had Adama to bring off the bench, that's fine. He's a great player to bring off the bench, you know, at Roslev or Vandenberg. Like, if one of those two on either side were looking at 70 minutes and thinking, God, I'm pretty tired, and you got Adama Traore about to come on and run at you, that's a problem for them. So yeah, let's just have a look at Brentford's last 11. The last team they played obviously was Ipswich Town. Let's have a look at the game against Wednesday, because then they've changed the team around a little bit there. So Flecken in goal, Roslev at the back with Collins and Pinnock, Van den Berg playing as well in defence. Janelt, Norgard, Damsgaard, pretty solid midfield, and then in Buemo, Wisser, and Lewis Potter as the front three. So it's pretty standard, good team on the bench. Schade, Jensen, Carvalho, Van der Marsen, Magoma, Trevitt, Yarmouk, and Konak on the bench. They're still missing Thiago Rodriguez. They're still missing Aya, who actually could be coming back to the fold. Thomas Frank said that earlier in his press conference. Rico Henry, Aaron Hickey, Gomez, and Josh Da Silva still out as well. Obviously, there's a big Fabio Carvalho is coming back to Craven Cottage in a B shirt. You know, I don't necessarily think he'll get a good reception at all. Some people were saying they're going to clap him. Some people were saying they're they boo him, it'll be a mixed reception, I'm sure. I would imagine there'd be more boos than the claps for Carvalho, given where he's playing, and he left at the first chance of our first chance he got. Basically, it didn't really work out for him. I still see him as not a very proven Premier League player. He thrived for Fulham in the Championship, scored 1 goal in the Premier League when we were already relegated. Went to Liverpool, he's done okay. No, he's not done okay. He's hasn't had enough minutes really. Leipzig didn't do anything. Hull did something and did very well in the Championship. I think he's a very high-end Championship player, but then of course he's got time to turn that around and prove to people that he is capable of playing in the Premier League. Brentford, have started games very fast, and I think what's key in this game is who wins the toss. If Brentford kick off, they're gonna lob the ball forward, cause some chaos. Like Thomas Frank said this in a post-match press conference or a pre-match press conference, that they're just going to go for it opening minute of the game, which is why they had so much success, because they basically just got the ball forward, caused a bit of chaos, put balls into the box, second phases, balls into the box, and scored some very, very good goals from those situations as well. If Fulham win the kickoff, and obviously they haven't scored in the first minute for a couple of weeks now or whatever, but if Fulham win the kickoff, we can just keep the ball, control it, and bypass those opening 2 or 3 minutes where Brentford have seemed to start games incredibly well. I think this is going to be a game where both teams will score. I think Brentford will create chances. I think Fulham will create chances. But what I've seen from Fulham so far this season, at home, apart from the Villa game, because I think the Villa game I think they're just on another level, Aston Villa. I think Brentford are a good team, but they're on par with teams that we've played already this season at home. I think they're better than Leicester. West Ham, maybe they're on par with. I think Newcastle are a better team on paper, but also they haven't been performing very well so far this season. They weren't very good on the day when Newcastle. Where was I going with this? Oh yeah, I don't think that we're going to give up a ton of chances. It's obviously very important that when Anderson comes back to the team, he's very, very important in the way we build up and the way we build up from the back. Less shaky on the ball than Issa Diop can obviously play over the top balls. We've said it so many times that Anderson can relieve pressure by just playing balls over the top. It depends how high Visser and Buemo, Lewis Potter, whoever plays up front, maybe it'd be Sade. It depends how aggressively they press us. Will they let us have the ball playing out from the back? Will they know that we play out from the back and therefore try and put Berger under pressure, Bassey under pressure, Robinson under pressure, Anderson, Tete? Exactly. So it's all very much about how they approach this one away from home. Yet to win away from home, of course, is their 5th away game. They've lost all 4. It's the first non-top 6 team they're playing away from home this season. So it's also been quite hard to gauge how Brentford will perform away from home this season. They've given teams a right good go in terms of Man United. They took the lead there. They took the lead at Spurs. They obviously were, I think, 3-1 down by halftime. They were 2-1 down by halftime at least. And the same happened at Man City as well. Haaland scored 2 in the first half, and that was that. But I'm expecting a competitive game. I think Fulham will win, though. I think we've got enough in the final third. Jimenez is still on really good form. Iwobi's been fantastic. Nelson, if he plays, really excited to see what he can do. Obviously, we've seen glimpses of him this season, and he's been very, very positive in those sort of spells. Would like to see more from Pereira. I feel like I say it every week, and fans agree with me or agree with that sentiment. I mean, Smith Rowe, we finally, after 55 minutes of thinking, God, Smith Rowe's had a bad game against Villa and not a very good game against Everton. He just picked up the ball and went, all right, I'll show you what I can do, and just weaved in and out of 2 Everton players, and put it on to Iwobi, and Iwobi stuck it away, and it was a magnificent assist. And that is genuinely what I expected to see from Smith Rowe when we signed him. So it's fantastic to see that he's starting to pick up his form and his confidence. We hear from Marco Silva tomorrow in the press conference. So in terms of injuries, it could be Timothy Castagna, who could still be out. Who else is out? Sasha Lukic. And apart from that, everyone could have a clean bill of health, which is great. Just really, really, really looking forward to the game. Looking forward to the derby. Looking forward to the atmosphere. I'm sure it'll be great from both the Hampstead end and the Putney end. And look, our record against Brentford is not very good at all. We've only won 1 home game. The one Mitrovic scored in the last minute in the last few since 2014 when we started playing them in the Championship, when we were both in the Championship. But I'm going to predict Fulham to win by 2-1. Let's see what Carvalho, if he plays any part. Let's see what he can do. Obviously, Visser, very, very good player. And Buemo's been fantastic this season. Lewis Potter's picking up his form as well. Nathan Collins, Pinnock, they've got aerial threats. Even if Aya comes back in to the team as well, they've got some really good threats from set pieces. Their midfield has always been very, very solid. Damsgaard's obviously coming into form as well. He's been much more impressive. Norgard, Janelt, these players are good. Brentford have been very good in what they do over the last few years. Obviously, they had a drop off last season. They finished in 16th, but you're still seeing Thomas Frank being linked with the Man United job. I'm sure he'll be linked with the Spurs job if Ange Postecoglou was to get the sack. Not that I see that happening anytime soon, to be fair. Although, to be fair, they did lose to Palace. Just because they beat Man City doesn't mean that his job's safe. Just depends. But anyway, that's my prediction. Fulham to win by 2-1. I really hope we win this derby. Get one over them. Be fantastic. What would it mean for the table? It would mean that Fulham would climb up to 15 points. I mean, it feels mad that we're still on 12 points. To be fair, we should be on much more, but I can't be bothered to go into that now. It's just obvious. Brentford as well might find themselves a little bit hard done by. They could have had maybe more points this season as well. Some absolutely balmy games over the last 2 home games. They've had 4-3 with Ipswich, which could have been any sort of score in the end. There were so many chances in it. And then a 5-3 win over Wolverhampton Wanderers as well. And of course, they're into the last day of the EFL Cup as well after beating Sheffield Wednesday in the week, where they slightly lucky on the opening day against Crystal Palace with Eze's free kick that got whistled before it went to the back of the net, slightly maybe. So yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting game. Really looking forward to it. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Any Brentford fans, I'm sure you'll have your say on the game. Keep it civil down there, if you can. And can't wait to review the game on Tuesday. I might not be saying that on Monday evening if the result hasn't gone our way, but I will be looking forward to reviewing it if we get a good result, depending on what happens in the game. If you enjoyed this, you're thinking, God, I want some more Fulham content. The Patreon is the best place to get it. £5 a month, daily Fulham content. Sit down every day, making content every day, especially in the week, like the Monday, the Tuesday, the Wednesday, the Thursday, and then you got the press conference on the Friday, which I attend. Speak to Marco Silva. There's reaction from that. Then you got the match day, and then my experience from the press box. Talking it through. Before the game, team news, half-time, full-time, final thoughts. Marco Silva post-match press conference as well. So much content goes up. Everyone on the Patreon really, really enjoys it, and it's a really, different way of sort of creating content and sort of delivering that sort of match day content as well. Like I've done match day content before. I've interviewed fans outside the ground, and now I'm luckily in a press box and be able to watch the game from a journalistic point of view and make content in that sort of scenario. So it's incredibly exciting. It's the best job in the world, and I'm extremely fortunate to do it. If you'd like to support me on that journey and you'd like to be part of the Patreon, the link is, if you just scroll right down to the bottom of the description, there is a link there to the Patreon. It's also in my Twitter bio, Instagram bio. And we very much appreciate getting on board. We're looking to get to 100 subs, and we're pretty nearly there. So thanks so much for watching. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll speak again on Tuesday. All I have to say is, come on Fulham. Hopefully we get the result. That would be absolutely fantastic. We'll see what happens at Craven Cottage on Monday Night Football. Thanks so much for watching, and come on Fulham.